Hello and thank you for joining me for the C2C cables and beans stitch. And in this tutorial I will show you how to work this stitch in a method of corner to corner. As you can see, we have these cables and beans and we are working from one corner to the other. We are increasing and then decreasing to create a perfect square. So let's start. For my tutorial I'm using a 4mm tulip hook, 2 stitch markers which are optional, and a DK yarn. I will link everything below. You can use any type and any weight of yarn you want with a suitable hook. This stitch is very nice to create blankets and even pillowcases, whatever you'd like. So let's start. Okay, so let's start. I'm using a US terminology in this tutorial and we are starting with chaining 4. And now for row 1, work 1 single crochet into the 4th chain from the hook. This is the first chain that you made. And then turn. Okay, now we are starting to increase. So chain 3. I recommend use a stitch marker to help you find the space in the next row. And now we will work 1 single crochet into the first single crochet of the row. This is the only single crochet we worked in row 1. So 1 single crochet here. Then chain 1 and we will be working into the chain 3 space here. So we are starting with 1 bean stitch. So we are inserting the hook into the chain 3 space, yarn over and pull up a loop. You have 2 loops now, and then we repeat twice. We yarn over, insert the hook into the chain 3 space, yarn over and pull up a loop, and repeat again. Okay, now we have 6 loops on the hook. We will yarn over and pull the yarn through all 6 loops. So this is 1 bean stitch and this is the top of the stitch. And now to finish the row we are chaining 1 and working 1 single crochet into the same chain 3 space. Okay, so for row 2 we have the chain 3 to increase, 1 single crochet, chain 1, 1 bean stitch, another chain 1 and another 1 single crochet. All the stitches in this pattern are separated by chain 1 spaces. So now we are turning and continuing to row 3. Okay, so let's chain 3 again and place our stitch marker. Now we will skip the first single crochet stitch and we will be working only into the chain 1 spaces of the row. If you are having a hard time finding them in the beginning, you can place stitch markers in the few first row. It will make it easier for you to find them later. So let's start again with chain 3, skipping the first single crochet stitch and working into the next chain 1 space, 1 single crochet. Now we will chain 1, skip the next mini bean stitch. I remind you that this is the top of the stitch, and we will work into the next chain 1 space, another single crochet stitch. Okay, and again we are chaining 1, skipping the next single crochet, and now we will increase in the chain 3 space. So we are working 1 single crochet, chaining 1, and another single crochet into the same chain 3 space. So as you can see, this row is only single crochet separated by chain 1 spaces. And let's turn, continue to row 4. Okay, so I chain 3 for row 4, and again also in this row we are working only into the chain 1 spaces in between the single crochet stitches. So I'm skipping the first single crochet and I'm working 1 bean stitch into the chain 1 space. So again I'm inserting my hook into the chain 1 space and pull up a loop. Now I'm yarning over, inserting the hook into the same space, pull up the yarn again, yarning over again, insert the hook into the same stitch and pull the yarn again. Now I have 6 loops on the hook. I'm yarning over and pulling the yarn through all 6 loops, creating the bean stitch. Now I'm continuing, chain 1, skip the next single crochet, and now we will work a front post double crochet stitch into the single crochet of 2 rows below. So if we are working, we are supposed to work into this chain 1 space, we will go to the single crochet which is straight below it. So yarn over, insert the hook behind the single crochet stitch and to the front. Now yarn over and pull the yarn back and continue working your double crochet as usual. Okay, and now we continue. We are chaining 1 again, skipping the next single crochet and working 1 bean stitch into the next chain 1 space. And I'm chaining 1 again, skipping the next single crochet, and I'm working now 1 single crochet, chain 1 and another 1 single crochet into the chain 3 space. So again I finished my last bean stitch. I'm chaining, I already chained 1, sorry, and I'm working 1 single crochet, chain 1 and another 1 single crochet into the same chain 3 space. Okay, so for row 4 we have the increasing of chain 3 space, 2 bean stitches, 1 front post double crochet and 2 single crochet stitches. All these stitches must be separated by chain 1 spaces. And let's turn. Okay, so for row 5 let's chain 3 again, and place a stitch marker. Now in this row we are working one single crochet in each of the chain 1 spaces, which we will separate with chain 1 spaces. So let's start. Skip the first single crochet stitch and work one single crochet into the next chain 1 space. And now you will repeat these 2 stitches. We are chaining 1 and working one single crochet into the next chain 1 space, and again we are chaining 1, always skipping the next stitch and working one single crochet into the next chain 1 space, and again we are chaining 1, working one single crochet into the next chain 1 space until we reach the chain 3 space. So again we are chaining 1, and then we will work one single crochet, chain 1 and another one single crochet into the chain 3 space. Don't forget to chain 1 before you do the increase in the chain 3 space. All your stitches must be always separated by chain 1 spaces. Okay, as you can see, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 single crochet stitches separated by chain 1 spaces. And let's turn. We are moving on to row 6. This is the last row of the setup before we reach the repeat section for the increase. So again, chain 3, place your stitch marker, and now we will skip the first single crochet and we will work one single crochet into the next chain 1 space. And we are chaining 1 again, skipping the next single crochet, and we will work one bean stitch in the next chain 1 space, which is exactly above the previous bean stitch we made. And now we will chain 1 again, skip the next single crochet stitch and work one front post double crochet around the front post double crochet of the 2 rows below. So after we chain 1, we yarn over and bring the hook from the back side to the front of the post of the double crochet. I'm yarning over and pull the yarn through back, and now I'm working a normal double crochet stitch. Okay, so it's wrapped around the double crochet from the previous 2 rows below. And now I'm chaining 1 again, skipping the next single crochet and working a mini bean stitch above the previous mini bean stitch. Okay, now we are chaining 1 again, skipping the next single crochet stitch, and now we have another 1 front post double crochet that we need to work into the single crochet from 2 rows below. So the best way to identify it is to skip the next single crochet, find your chain 1 space, and this single crochet will be straight below it. So after we chain 1, we yarn over, we will bring the hook from the back to the front of the stitch, yarn over, pull the yarn through all the way back to the front, and then we will continue to work a regular double crochet stitch. Okay, and to finish this row we are chaining 1. We will walk into the chain 3 space, 1 bean stitch, chain 1 and another single crochet to increase. So work 1 bean stitch, chain 1 and finish with a 1 single crochet. Okay, so we are continuing to the main increase section. So for row 7 we are just repeating row 5. So we are chaining 3, placing our stitch marker, and we are skipping the first single crochet of the row and working 1 single crochet into the next chain 1 space. And now we are chaining 1 again and repeating, skipping the next stitch, and I will repeat is to work 1 single crochet into the next chain 1 space, chain 1 and skip the next stitch, and continue, work 1 single crochet into the chain 1 space, chain 1 and skip the next stitch. Repeat these stitches until you reach the chain 3 space. Okay, so I worked the last single crochet. I am chaining 1 and skipping the next stitch, and now I will work 1 single crochet, chain 1 and 1 single crochet into the same chain 3 space. Again, don't forget to chain 1 before this increase section, and we will turn, continuing to row 8. Now we will chain 3 again and place the stitch marker, and we are skipping the first single crochet, and we will work 1 bean stitch into the next chain 1 space. Okay, now we will chain 1 again, skip the next single crochet and work for 1 front post double crochet into the single crochet of the 2 rows below. So I chained 1 and I'm working a front post double crochet around the single crochet of the 2 rows below. And now we have the repeat section. This section will be repeated when you want to grow your square bigger. So chain 1, skip the next single crochet and work 1 bean stitch into the next chain 1 space. So remember, you always work the same stitch above the one that is 2 rows below. So if we had a bean stitch here, then we will probably be working a bean stitch above it. Now chain 1, skip the next single crochet stitch and again work a front post double crochet around the front post double crochet of 2 rows below. And now repeat this section. We have 1 more repeat here because it's a short row. So chain 1, skip the next single crochet, work 1 bean stitch into the next chain 1 space, Now chain 1 again and work 1 front post double crochet around the double crochet of 2 rows below, and you repeat these stitches until you have only 2 single crochet left in your row. So here you can see you have 1 single crochet, chain 1, another 1 single crochet, and the chain 3. So we have a total of 2 single crochet. That means that we ended the repetition, and now we will work chain 1, chain 1, and we will skip the next single crochet, work 1 bean stitch into the next chain 1 space, now we will chain 1 again and work 1 single crochet, chain 1 and another 1 single crochet into the chain 3 space. So again, don't forget to chain 1 before you increase. Okay, and this is it for row 8. Okay, so for row 9 we are repeating row 5 of working only single crochet into the chain 1 spaces. So we chain 3 again, skip the first single crochet and work 1 single crochet into the next chain 1 space, and then chain 1 and skip the next stitch and repeat, work 1 single crochet into the next chain 1 space, chain 1, skip the next stitch. Repeat like this until the chain 3 space. Okay, so I reached the chain 3 space. I chained 1 as my last stitch, and now I will work one single crochet, chain 1 and another 1 single crochet into the chain 3 space. And we turn and continuing to row 10. Now we will skip the first single crochet and we will work 1 single crochet into the next chain 1 space, then chain 1, skip the next single crochet and work 1 bean stitch into the next chain 1 space, and then we will start the repeat section for this row. So you will repeat by chaining 1, working one front post double crochet around the front post double crochet of 2 rows below, chain 1 again, and then work 1 bean stitch into the next chain 1 space. So these 4 stitches are the repeat section for this row. You are chaining 1, working front post double crochet, another chain 1, and 1 bean stitch. Repeat these stitches until you have only 2 single crochet stitches left in your row. So let's continue. Okay, finishing with the bean stitch. I have 2 single crochet left, and then I will chain 1 and work 1 front post double crochet around the single crochet stitch 2 rows below, which is below the next chain 1 space. Okay, now to increase, chain 1 and work 1 bean stitch, chain 1 and another single crochet stitch into the chain 3 space. Okay, so this is it for row 10. Now to keep increasing, we will repeat rows 7 to 10 until we reach the size of the square that we want, but you must make sure to finish with row 8. Then we will start to decrease. Okay, so to start decreasing, move on to row 11, turn your work, and now we will only chain 2 in the decrease section, and here the stitch marker is much more important and makes it much more easier to find the space to increase at the end of the row. Okay, so we chain 2 again, we are skipping the first single crochet stitch and working 1 single crochet into the next chain 1 space, but here we don't chain 1 after this stitch. We are skipping the next stitch and working 1 single crochet into the next chain 1 space without chaining 1, only in the beginning of the row. And now we are starting to repeat. We are chaining 1, skipping the next stitch, and working 1 single crochet into the next chain 1 space. And again, chaining 1, skipping the next stitch, and working 1 single crochet into the next chain 1 space. Continue until you reach the chain 3 space. Make sure to finish with a single crochet stitch, this stitch repetition. Okay, so I reached the chain 3 space and I finished with a single crochet stitch, and now again I'm not chaining 1 before I'm walking into the chain 3 space. So I'm skipping the next stitch, which is a bean stitch, and I'm working 1 single crochet without chaining 1. So just 1 single crochet to create the corner. Okay, so as you can see, we have for row 11, we have single crochet stitches which are separated with chain 1 spaces, but the 2 single crochet stitches at the beginning and at the end of the row aren't separated with chain 1 space. This is to create the decrease and the corner. So let's turn our work, moving on to row 12. Again, also here we are chaining 2 at the beginning. Again, chain 2, place your stitch marker, and skip the 2 first single crochet stitches. So we are skipping 2 stitches and working front post double crochet into the front post double crochet 2 rows below. This is the first front post double crochet of this row. And now chain 1, skip the next single crochet and work 1 bean stitch into the next chain 1 space. And now we will have our repeat section, which is chain 1, skip the next single crochet, work 1 front post double crochet into the front post double crochet of 2 rows below, and again chain 1 and work 1 bean stitch into the next chain 1 space. So repeat working by chaining 1 front post double crochet, another chain 1, and then a bean stitch. Repeat these stitches, make sure to finish with the bean stitch until you have only 2 single crochet stitches left in your row. So let's continue. Okay, so I reached the end of the row. I worked my last bean stitch and I have only 2 single crochet left in my row. So here I'm not chaining 1, don't chain 1, skip these 2 single crochet and work 1 single crochet into the chain 2 space without chaining 1 before. So 1 single crochet into the chain 2 space. Okay, this is it for row 12. Okay, so now we are moving on to row 13, and this is the start of the main decrease section, which this row we will be repeating in order to keep decrease your square. So let's turn our work, chain 2 and place your stitch marker. And this row is a row where we are working only single crochet that are separated with chain 1 spaces. So we are skipping the first and second stitches and work 1 single crochet into the next chain 1 space. So again, skip the first and second stitches, which here are the single crochet and bean stitch, and work 1 single crochet into the next chain 1 space. And now we will be repeating by chaining 1, skipping the next stitch, and work 1 single crochet into the next chain 1 space. So repeat these 2 stitches until one last stitch before the chain 2 space. Make sure to finish with a single crochet stitch. Okay, so I reached the last stitch before the chain 2 space, and again here I'm not chaining 1, don't chain 1, just skip this stitch, which is the front post double crochet, don't chain 1, skip this stitch and work 1 single crochet into the chain 2 space. Okay, and now we are turning. And moving on to row 14. So again, chain 2, place your stitch marker, and skip the first and second stitches and work 1 bean stitch into the next chain 1 space. Okay, now chain 1, skip the next single crochet and work 1 front post double crochet into the front post double crochet of 2 rows below. And now we start the repeat section for this row. So chain 1, skip the next single crochet, work 1 bean stitch into the chain 1 space, then chain 1 again and work front post double crochet into the front post double crochet of 2 rows below. So you repeat these stitches until you have only 1 single crochet left in your row, and then make sure you are finished with front post double crochet before you reach the last stitch before the chain 2 space. So let's continue. Okay, so I reached the last single crochet of the row, and as you can see I finished with the front post double crochet. Now again, I'm not chaining 1, I'm skipping the next single crochet and work 1 single crochet into the chain 2 space without chaining 1 before. Okay, so to finish off I have the front post double crochet and then straight I'm working a single crochet into the chain 2 space. And let's turn. And for row 15 we are repeating row 13 of only single crochet, so chain 2, sorry, and place your stitch marker around the chain 2. Now skip the first 2 stitches and work a single crochet into the next chain 1 space, then chain 1, skip the next stitch and work 1 single crochet into the chain 1 space. Continue working until you reach the last stitch before the chain 2 space. Okay, so I reached the last stitch. Here it's a bean stitch. Again, I don't chain 1. Let's remove the marker. And without chaining 1, just work 1 single crochet into the chain 2 space. And turn. And you can see our little square start to get its shape. Okay, so let's continue to row 16. We are chaining 2. Place your stitch marker. And again, skip the first 2 stitches and work 1 front post double crochet. This is the one that is straight below the next chain 1 space. Then chain 1, skip the next single crochet stitch and work 1 bean stitch into the next chain 1 space. And now we have your repeat section. You will be chaining 1, skipping the next single crochet, work 1 front post double crochet around the front post double crochet of 2 rows below, then chain 1 again, skip the next single crochet and work 1 bean stitch into the next chain 1 space. So repeat these stitches until you have only 1 single crochet left in the row. And let's do this repetition one more time because I have a short row. And I'm finishing with a pin stitch with only 1 single crochet here. So again, don't chain 1, skip the next single crochet and work 1 single crochet into the chain 2 space and turn. Okay, so to keep decreasing a square, repeat rows 13 to 16 until you have only 4 single crochet in your row, which means you will be finishing with row 15. So make sure to finish your repetition with row 15 and then move on to row 17 to keep decreasing. So I'm going back to row 13. So chain 2 again. Place your stitch marker if you're using one. And skip the 2 first stitches, which are the single crochet and bean stitch. And work 1 single crochet into the next chain 1 space. And then continue, chain 1, skip the next stitch and work 1 single crochet into the next chain 1 space until the last stitch before the chain 2 space. Okay, so now I reached the last stitch, and I am removing the stitch marker. I am not chaining one, I'm working one single crochet into the chain 2 space, and then turn. Let's continue to work row 14. So we are chaining 2, placing the stitch marker, and skipping the first 2 stitches, which are 2 single crochet, and working 1 bean stitch into the next chain 1 space. Now chain 1 and work 1 front post double crochet around the next front post double crochet of 2 rows below, and your repeat section will be chaining 1, skipping the next single crochet, working 1 bean stitch into the chain 1 space, and chain 1 again, skipping the next single crochet and working front post double crochet into the next front post double crochet stitch. So I have a very short row here, but you will repeat the stitches, finishing with a front post double crochet, and when you have only 1 single crochet stitch in your row. So again, you don't chain 1, you remove the marker, and we will work 1 single crochet into the chain 2 space. Okay, so now we are moving on to row 15. Okay, so we are continuing to row 15. We will chain 2, place our stitch marker, and again skip the first 2 single crochet stitches, work single crochet into the next chain 1 space, chain 1, skip the next stitch, work another single crochet into the chain 1 space, continue until 1 last stitch before the chain 2 space. Now don't chain 1 and place 1 single crochet into the chain 2 space without chaining 1. So now when I turn, I'm just finished work row 15, and you can see that I have 4 single crochet stitches left in my row. So it means that I need to move on to row 17 to keep decreasing. So now let's chain 2. We're finishing off the decrease section. Place the stitch marker, and again skip the first 2 single crochet stitches and work 1 front post double crochet around the next front post double crochet of 2 rows below. Now chain 1, work 1 bean stitch into the next chain 1 space, and now don't chain 1, skip the next single crochet stitch, remove your marker and work 1 single crochet into the next chain 2 space. Again, so for row 17 we have the chain 2, then 1 front post double crochet, chain 1, 1 bean stitch, and another single crochet stitch without chaining 1 before. And then let's turn, and row 18 is our last row. So here we are chaining 1 to create the corner. Again, chain 1, don't chain 2, and skip the first 2 stitches, the single crochet and the bean stitch, and then work one single crochet 2 together into the next chain 1 space and then into the chain 2 space. So we are inserting the hook into the next chain 1 space and then skipping the next stitch and inserting the hook and pulling another loop from the chain 2 space, then yarn over and pull the yarn through all 3 loops. So I'm removing the stitch markers, and this is our little swatch of this square. You can sock and block it to obtain a better square shape. And all the written instructions for this square version are available on my blog Made by Guti. I will link it below. If you also want to try out the rectangle version, it's available for a small fee on my Ravelry and Etsy shops. Everything will be linked below. Thank you so much for watching. Bye bye.